Today we are going to be finishing up with building the power base. So this is lesson 10. It's the 5th lesson in the power base building section of A Witch's Primer. So I don't want you to worry if you've not done everything, quote, perfectly. You can always go back and work these 5 lessons over and over again. It's a building process. It's like going to the gym. I know that somebody had commented last week that they thought that maybe there were too many things that I was expecting you to do. And I want you to remember that these are power building weeks. So you do want a lot to do. Now, if it gets too much, you can always pull back. You don't have to do everything. I always try to be clear on that. You want to keep a light touch. But at the same time, it's a building of your power. And to build something, you have to put more stress, just like on a muscle. And so there's a reason. In my training, it was even more intensive. It's supposed to be that way, but it shouldn't be so much that it's not fun. It shouldn't be so much that you feel like there's a strain. So it's up to you to know when to back off and when to lean in. But remember that each of these power building weeks are only a week each. So you do want to dedicate some time and some effort to this if you really want to build something worthwhile. We are building magical power. Today, we're going to be discussing what I refer to as the spirit body. And that term is not probably accurate. I just chose this name to align with the names of the elements. And usually that's fire, water, air, earth, and spirit. So we're going to call this the spirit body. But the magical body, the power base, is one body with 5 elements. This week we're focusing on balancing the 4 previous bodies, but activating the body's energy centers. And so that's what we're really focusing on today, is activating your energy centers. This process aims to strengthen our magnetic field, also called the electromagnetic field or the aura, to enhance its potency, magnetism, power, and harmony. The electromagnetic field or aura serves as a power source in magic to direct our will and to create results. So you want that aura to be strong, vibrant, and robust. This power is tangible. It's like electricity, and it's used actively in our magic. You'll see as you build this that it's not just theoretical, but a very real power. And as we delve deeper into this topic, you're going to start to grasp the concrete nature of what it actually is this week. Our bodies house energy centers. And these energy centers are where the spirit body and the physical body come together. In yoga, these are called chakras. We call them energy centers. And these energy centers are found in various belief systems, and they're spread throughout the body, and there are many different ones. There are a myriad of different energy centers. You could say that in essence, there are only 3 main energy centers: the head, the torso, and the belly and sexual organs. This grouping into 3 energy centers is a very ancient practice. If you're already familiar with chakras, you might notice that as we break these down into 8 centers, that it's a little different than what you're used to if you're used to working with 7 centers. There's hundreds and hundreds of different energy centers in the body. So we're just going to break it down into 8 centers today. I like the 8 centers instead of the 7, but sometimes I'll use the 7 as well. It's fluid, and you want to be open and receptive to a fluidity in how you conceive of these things. We're going to discuss them right now, starting with the root center, and that's located at the base of your spine. It's your main support center. It's associated with the large intestine, the feet, the legs, and the earth element. We link it to the color red. This center relates to feeling safe, meeting survival needs, being nurtured, and finding wholeness. Then The next center up from there is the sacral center, and it's situated in the pelvic area between the pubis and the navel. It's linked to reproduction, to the bladder, to the element of water. It's often symbolized by the color orange. And this center enables connections with other people, with creativity, with reproduction. If you go up to the next center, it's the navel center, and it's located just at and maybe just a bit below the actual navel in your body. It's linked to the small intestine, to the kidneys, the adrenal glands, the pancreas, the gallbladder, the liver, and the element of fire. This center is associated with the color yellow in the rainbow sequence. You can see that we're building a rainbow from the base of your spine up. This navel center represents personal power. If you ever feel like you're being taken advantage of, it might indicate a blockage in this center. Next up is the solar plexus, found between your navel and your heart, right under the breastbone. And it's considered the core of your being, your solar network. This is where your inner light resides. It's linked to the stomach with attributes of both fire and water, and we associate it with the color gold. And it transforms feelings, turning fear into love, anger into action, sadness into motivation. And this is where all of your intentions take place and shape. And it's a very powerful and magical place, this solar plexus. Next, we come to the heart center, which is located in the middle of the sternum, connected to the heart. It's connected also to the thymus, the arms, and the hands, and it's symbolized by the color green. And this center represents unconditional love, unity, emotional devotion, higher emotions, reverence for life, and it's a bringing together of humanity and divinity, and it's a place of harmony. Next, above that, we have the throat center located in the thyroid area. This area represents the element of spirit, and its color is blue, and it signifies our abilities to express ourselves truthfully and connect with the universe on a vibrational level. Next up, we have the third eye center located between the eyebrows, maybe just a little bit above, toward the center of the forehead. And it's associated with the pituitary gland, the eyes, and the brain. And it transcends elemental correspondences. This psychic center is linked with the color indigo and aids in merging our thoughts. It enhances focus, concentration, clarity of mind, and purpose. It's where our intuition and our psychic abilities like clairvoyance reside. It's called the third eye. And above that is the crown center, and that's located right at the top of the head where a baby's soft spot is. And it's linked to the pineal gland, and it's associated with higher consciousness and the soul. It goes beyond also the elements, and it's connected to violet, symbolizing higher powers in connection with angels, deities, cosmic awareness. And the crown chakra also represents transcendence in general. So those are the main centers of the body. You can spend a long time just studying these centers, these glandular systems, and all the different meridians that are attached to them. And these are just some of the key ones. And our aim is to open up these centers to allow energy to flow freely. And that's where the magical currents move. And by channeling energy through these centers, your magic becomes much more potent and efficient. If you are in a place where it's okay to do this, find a comfortable spot to sit and place your palms facing one another without touching. Close together, but definitely not touching. One hand is going to feel more magnetic and the other one will feel more projecting. Notice which hand feels like it's sending or which one is receiving more naturally than the other. Once you decide which one is the receiving hand, use that receiving hand to face the palm toward the base of your spine, but in the front of your body where you're seated on your chair. You don't want to touch your body, but put that receiving hand in front. Just notice any sensations. Now move it up to the sacral area halfway between your navel and your base chakra, and notice if you feel anything different there than what you felt at the base chakra. Now move it up to the navel area and check for any sensations that you feel in the receiving hand there. There's no right or wrong, you're just taking an assessment. Now, among those three areas, was one more active than others? Was one less active than others? It's very subtle, and it may take some time to work with this. Even if you don't get it, quote, right, don't worry about it. Just experiment with this. Now, move up to that area between the navel and the heart, that solar plexus, and check for any sensation there in your receiving hand. Now, move your hand up in front of your heart, noticing any tingling or sensations within your hand. Proceed up to your throat and notice any of those sensations there. Noticing if there's any difference between any one energy center and the others. Move your hand up to the center of your forehead, your third eye. See if you feel anything there. Remember, you're not touching your body, you're in front of your body. Now put your palm facing down above your crown chakra at the top of your head, not touching your head. See if there's any sensations there. And it's a good little thing to do every day for this week. Just notice where you're feeling what. Because the more you can tune in to those energy centers, the more you can assess when you have a blockage or when you have more energy flow or less energy flow, when you have a balance of energy between those centers, or when you have an imbalance of energy flowing between those centers. And that's just one way to do that. If you have a pendulum, you can take that receiving hand and do exactly what you did and hold your pendulum with your other hand and notice if the pendulum have activity. For instance, you might notice that it starts to swing one way for certain chakras and another way for other chakras. Some chakras, there's no movement. In some centers, there's a lot of movement. And little by little, you're going to develop a rapport with the pendulum so that you know which direction means that you're having a shutdown, which direction means that you're having more flow, etc. I prefer to just use my hand and feel the sensations, but some people like to use the pendulum instead. There's other ways to do it as well. I have included a guided meditation called the Rainbow Power Meditation with this lesson. And I recommend that you do that once a day this next week. This week isn't going to be as hard because you're really focusing on opening up and balancing the centers of your body. So I want you to just tune in several times a day to those different energy centers of your body and notice what you're feeling using one of those exercises I just gave you. Plus, I also want you to work with that Rainbow Power Meditation once a day. And if you get to a point where you don't need to listen to the recording, that's fine. You can just do it all on your own. There's another exercise here. When you noticed that there's an energy center that seems to be closed down or not flowing well, I want to show you how to open that up. And you can do this for each center too. You don't have to only do it on the one center. You can do this for each center. Try this once a day on each of your centers. All you do is take a deep breath through your nose and then hold your breath. And you focus the energy of that inhaled breath toward the center in question. So toward the base center or toward the sacral center, etc. Hold it for about 15 seconds. And then exhale. And repeat that 5 or 6 times. And then you can test again with your hand or with your pendulum and notice if there's a change. You can do that exercise for each of the centers, although that will take a little bit more time. And if you're not used to using that much breath, it may be a bit much for you to do on all the centers every day. So I want you to be real conscientious with what feels good. If you get lightheaded or you don't feel good, stop. Just stop and come back to it another day. This week, focus on the guided meditation once a day. Work on noticing the state of activity within each of the energy centers using one of the tools that I just gave you, and focus that breathing exercise on opening up the centers that seem to be more shut down. And just notice how you feel. Now, if you are not yet doing it, I would recommend that you start keeping a magical diary and write down what you're doing every single day when you're doing these exercises. I want you to go back also over the last 4 weeks and notice which of the 4 weeks you felt were the most successful or easy, which you felt like wasn't so easy and you didn't feel like you had as good of a success rate, so that you can get a sense of where in your magical training you might want to go back and do some more work. Many people say that it's the fire body that was their hardest, but some people think it was the water body that was the hardest. There are others that really don't like the earth body. So it's not that I want you to force yourself to do things that you don't want to do, but very frequently, if there's a body that you're trying to avoid and it's just not your thing, it's because there may be a need for a little building there, a little more balance. So in addition to just doing your work this week with the Rainbow Power Meditation and working on your energy centers, I want you to maybe go back and revisit 1 or 2 of the exercises from the weeks where you felt like you maybe weren't so strong and you could use a little bit more work. And again, there's no rush. There's no rush. You've got the rest of eternity to build your magic. But at the same time, why waste time? Because the more you can build your magical power base, the more success that you're going to have in your magic and the more success that you will have in your life. This is all free to do. It doesn't cost you a cent. What it does cost you, however, is some work and some dedication. And it can be hard work, but it's worth it. Just like when people go to the gym and they get all happy with their muscles or their weight loss or whatever their goals are with going into fitness, we're going to the gym for magical fitness right now to make sure that we have the power that is our birthright. And we have every right to build that power and to balance that power and to utilize that power for our goals. And our goals, we are starting to recognize, and I hope you are starting to recognize, are holy. And that you have every right to those desires and those goals. Those goals are there for you to follow, but it's up to you to build the strength needed in order to do that. And that's what magic is all about. I hope you enjoyed this week. Thank you so much for spending some time with me, and we'll be back next week for Lesson 11. Blessed be.